Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new season of the Purposeful Life Show with your host, Adrian Starks. I'm excited to share some new updates of the show with you, starting with a new look, sound, and energy, as well as a variety of guests coming aboard with intriguing topics of conversation. I hope you enjoy the new level of energy that will be brought to the show. Thank you for all of your support since the very beginning in 2019. Wow, it's been 3 years already? Because of you, the Purposeful Life Show is now in the top 5% of all podcasts globally, and we aim to get it into the top 1%. Continue listening to the show and share it with others. You can also now listen to the show on my Facebook page at Adrian Starks, where you can comment in real time and communicate with me about your aha moments. Thank you again for all of your support, and let's make this one hell of a year and be purposeful about doing that. Wishing you all much love and success. You need people to see that you exist and to hear what you have to offer. You can talk about yourself a lot, but people respond to actions. They respond to other people's image of you. People respond to word of mouth. And one good way of word of mouth is through podcasting. Whether you want to be a host or a guest, podcasting is the way to go right now, and it will be for a very long time.
Welcome to the Purposeful Life Show on the Connect Now podcast with your host, Adrian Starks. If you're looking for the ideas that could be your breakthrough for change in your business, career, or personal life, then this podcast is for you. Join Adrian as he speaks on topics of personal and professional development for the person behind the business and interviews a variety of entrepreneurs, business owners, and thought leaders to reveal their ideas and solutions to success and its challenges. Subscribe to the show and leave us a review. It's time to connect, learn, and grow.
Well, hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Purposeful Life Show on the Connect Now podcast with your host, Adrian Starks. And I'm excited to have you back for yet again, another amazing episode. And today we're going to talk about the benefits of podcasting. But before we get started, you know what you have to do. And I'll say this every single time, and you may even get tired of hearing me say it. But guess what? You're going to have to hear me say it. So make sure you go ahead and download this podcast onto your favorite podcast platform, subscribe to the show, and leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing. Also, feel free to share this show or this episode with anyone who you think can be truly inspired by it. Because with the Connect Now podcast, we are looking to continue to change lives across the globe, both on a business and personal scale. And I want to give a special shout out to all the people who have and continue to support the show. It is because of you the reason why these messages are being spread across the world and touching lives. And thank you for that. I have two special announcements today. One announcement is that we have a lot of guests coming up on this show, and I'm so excited to share their stories, their messages, their expertise, and how they can actually help you. These guests will be coming up in the months of August, September, and the fall season, so be on the lookout for that. My second announcement today is about the Patreon page that is now up and running. Yes, I have one. I had to do it. And I wanted to share my vulnerability with you so that you can see what happens behind the mic, the person behind this microphone. What are my thoughts? What happens when I start with one idea and I move into actually making an outline for an episode and how I go about doing that? I want to share my feelings with you. You'll see videos that I typically will not post on Facebook. You'll get a chance to do a Q&A with me. I'll give shout outs. So I want to give you a special way of being involved on this journey of the podcast world and what I do as a courageous creator in my life. And I want that to inspire you. So what I will do is I will put the link in the appointment notes of this podcast. When you're done listening, go and click on that link and look at that Patreon page and see if you would like to be a part of that. I would love to have you there. Today's episode is going to be about the benefit of podcasting for you. Yes, podcasting is a big thing right now, and many people think that it's oversaturated. I think not. What has occurred is the pandemic, and that shifted everyone's attention to being online because no one can do anything in person. So what we're seeing now is that doors are beginning to open with these vaccination shots. And no matter what your opinion may be on that, it is causing doors to be opened so that people can go out into the real world again and be humans once again. However, podcasting is still going to keep going. What we discovered during this pandemic was that everyone realized they had to be visible online. So podcasting just blew up. And now we're seeing organizations like Amazon purchasing podcast platforms for millions of dollars. We're seeing Facebook form their own podcast platform, which, by the way, is only through Invite currently. We are noticing that it is a major platform for people to express themselves, to express their ideas, and even their services. It's actually a gold mine. No wonder why these big corporations are investing in it. But why did I do podcasting? Am I Amazon? Am I Facebook? No, I'm not. I'm me. I'm going to take you on a little small journey of how I started my podcast and why I started it. And after that, I will provide you with a quote that really shifted my thinking on how I see myself in the world of speaking and podcasting. Then we'll go on a short break. And then in the second segment, I'm going to reveal to you the benefits of being on a podcast, whether you are a host or a guest. So my podcast journey started back in 2019. I was this up-and-coming speaker, and I was like most speakers. I wanted to be on the platforms of all the major heavy hitters out there. But here's the thing. Reality struck in. You can't start off being on major platforms of other people if you haven't put in the work. You have to show people that you're an expert in your field, whatever your topic may be. You have to be consistent and show that there is some backup to what you say, results from clients and results from your speaking engagements. As a speaker, I realized that I had a long journey ahead, but I wanted to touch as many lives as I could across the globe. I didn't want to limit myself. So I thought, why not create a virtual platform that I can speak on? And this was inspired by a great mentor of mine. His name is Anthony Latson. Anthony was having a conversation with me one day, and I kept telling him that I wanted to be on the stages of like Les Brown, of Tony Robbins, of Brendan Burchard. Hope I said his last name correctly. People would pronounce it a different way all the time. But I wanted to be on these stages. And like most speakers, I got so frustrated because I wanted to be a part of that light. But that was my immaturity. What I did not notice is that these people before me had paid their dues. They had been around for quite some time, and they had been on other people's platforms only because they had a track record. And I remember this mentor challenging me and asking me, well, Adrian, why not build your own platform? Yeah. Why not build my own platform? Thank you for that, Anthony. So I went on this discovery of how could I build my own platform, and podcasting became my thing. So I still speak on virtual stages. I do presentations online, and I'm still going to be speaking in front of audiences, students, organizations, and teams and companies. I'm excited to do that for the 2022 year coming up. However, podcasting was my source to get things done right then and there, to build my credibility as a speaker, as an innovator, as an entrepreneur, as an interviewer. 2 years, and here I am now. And what has that done for me? It's allowed me to touch so many lives and teach on a large scale. You're listening to me right now because somehow I was able to get through your platform and into your ears. That's the importance of podcasting, which I will be discussing about in the second segment. I mentioned to you earlier about a quote that I wanted to share with you as well. And this quote was by a great philosopher named Ralph Emerson. A lot of you may know him. His quote was this: "If you can preach a better sermon, build a better mousetrap, or write a better book, no matter how far you are in the woods, the world will beat a path to come to your door." Whoa. When I heard that quote, it gave me so much inspiration to know that no matter where I was, as long as I focused on what I was doing right then and there and I got good at it, that the world would beat a path to come to my door. I think that's happening right now. I believe that can happen for you. So what can we do to get people to come your way, for people to see your true qualities? One way is through the door of podcasting. So I want you to think about that for a moment as we go on a short break, and I'll be right back to explain the benefits of podcasting. What if it were possible to get local fresh groceries delivered right to your front door? Just think how much time and stress it would save you. Well, Instacart gives you unlimited grocery delivery for one low monthly fee. Forget that one ingredient for the family dinner that could offset everything? Instacart can deliver it to your front door in as little as 1 hour. You can shop multiple stores, see deals in your area to help you save money, and every item is hand-selected by shoppers based on your preferences. No more rock-hard avocados, and they will keep your eggs safe too. To start your 14-day free trial, follow the link in the show notes to let Instacart know that we sent you and to help support the show. Instacart. Never step foot in a grocery store again. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back. I hope you had a great break and you thought some more about that Ralph Emerson quote I mentioned earlier. I'm going to repeat it one more time. If you can preach a better sermon, if you can write a better book, if you can build a better mousetrap, no matter how far you are in the woods, the world will beat a path to come to your door. That quote really shifted how I saw myself in the world of speaking. What that meant for me was that I didn't need to be physically on a stage to just inspire people and to help them grow forward in their lives. I could actually be on any stage as long as I focused on getting good at what I was doing, which allowed me to develop this podcast the way it is now. The reason why I want to talk about this quote in relation to the conversation today, you need people to see that you exist and to hear what you have to offer. You can talk about yourself a lot, but people respond to actions. They respond to other people's image of you. People respond to word of mouth. And one good way of word of mouth is through podcasting. Whether you want to be a host or a guest, podcasting is the way to go right now, and it will be for a very long time. I mentioned in the first segment that it's so popular right now that Amazon is investing millions of dollars in buying up certain podcast platforms. Why is that? Is it because it's the wave of the future? Will podcasting go out of style? I think not. It's been around for a very long time. So how can podcasting benefit you as a guest? Well, as a guest, one thing that it does is it gives you visibility. You're able to get your message out to a platform that already has an audience listening, an audience who has no idea that you exist. When you're speaking on these platforms, that audience now knows how to contact you. After the show, they can go into the appointment notes and click on any hyperlinks that host has provided for them to see you on, whether that be social media or any free downloads that you have. So presto, right there, you have a new audience. That's the power of being a guest on a podcast. The other benefits of being a guest on a podcast is that it shows that you're an expert. By being on this platform or any platform, you're showing people that you did the work for this person to bring you on because they're interested in having a conversation with you. Immediately, people then see you as an expert in your field. Also, as a guest, podcasting allows you to be able to be seen in a different light. People want to know the person behind the business. And when you reveal your personal story, your vulnerability, your changes and challenges of how you got to this point, it shows people that you are human. You're not just trying to get their attention because you want their services. You actually have a beating heart. That's the power of being a guest on a podcast. Now, if you want to be a host for a podcast, how can that benefit you? If you're a host of a podcast, you have the ability to tailor the podcast to however you want it to sound, and you can really focus on your audience. But you have to decide first, who is that audience? Who do you want to reach? And the big question here is, why do you want to reach and talk to them? Because at the end of the day, it's all about serving your audience. Never forget that. So as a host, you can actually impact lives the way that you want to. Also, as a host of your own podcast, you're showing the world a side of professionalism that will bring them closer to you in the line of work that you do. For example, I'm a speaker. Let's just say someone hasn't seen me speaking on the stage or they haven't seen me in video, but they heard about me or they heard me on a podcast. Do you think that they're going to go check me out somewhere else? Absolutely. They're going to go into the show notes and click on any links that I have for my podcast, and it's going to direct them back to my social media pages, any events I've recently done, or any books I have. It's a power behind being a host. You can actually change your podcast up depending on what kind of events you have or who you want to have on the show. It gives you a sense of control. So podcasting has many benefits, but the biggest benefit of all is visibility. People need to see that you exist. They need to hear you, your message, and what you represent. And it's the only way that they're going to spend their time and energy and even their efforts in learning more about you and even joining you on a quest or a workshop or an event that you have coming up or even your own podcast. People need to know who you are. The podcasting opens that door up so that the world can be the path to your door. Remember that quote from Ralph Emerson that I mentioned earlier. You need a path, and podcasting is a virtual path that is proven to be very successful. There's one more thing I wanted to mention to you today before we end the show. That is, you must show up on your podcast as the real you. Because if you don't show up on the podcast and you're putting on a front or a mask, people are going to find that out. Make sure that whether you are a guest or a host, that you reveal truthful aspects of yourself. If you're giving out data, make sure that data is consistent, that it's up to date, that it matches what you're saying, and you get your facts right. If you're talking about something, make sure you've done your research. If you bring a guest on, make sure you've done your research on the guest. Don't just ask them basic questions. Ask them thought-provoking questions to show them that you've cared enough to go and do some more research. And as a guest, make sure you do your research on the host. During the conversation, bring something up that the host was not expecting you to bring up because you know about them. Make sure it's respectful, okay? Don't go and dig some dirt, but go and dig something valuable that is close to their heart to show them that you cared enough to know more about them. I'm just giving you some little secrets on the benefits of podcasting, because what happens when you become a good guest, people will spread the word. What happens when you become a good host, people will spread the word. And what happens to you? You get more opportunities to have that pathway open to your door. And then you can serve more people. You can have a broader audience. To talk to you more about podcasting, I did a recent interview with Listen Notes. It is the top podcast search engine worldwide, considered to be like the Google of podcasting. And when you're done listening to the show, go to the appointment notes and click on that link so that you can read more about this podcast interview that I did with Listen Notes. I give a lot more gold nuggets and details in that interview that I'm revealing here to you right now. So go and read that when you're done. Podcasting has an amazing way of getting people out there to the world. And don't think for 1 second that you're not good enough to be on a podcast. If you've got a story, you have a message, and you have something that you're doing that's actually helping to impact the world, you can be on a podcast. The big thing here is that you must know why you want to be on the podcast. You see, you can lie to the world, but you can't lie to yourself. And you want to show up as true. You want to show up as the person that is there to help others. And if you can do that, then you can change lives across the world, just like I'm doing. I started my podcast in 2019, and I've come so far since then. You can even listen to my first episode to see the changes. Podcasting is a wonderful pathway for you to express yourself in the world of business and in your personal life. So don't count yourself out. Count yourself in for podcasting. You have something special to offer to the world, and they need to know that you exist, and they need to hear you.
Thank you for listening to the Purposeful Life Show on the Connect Now podcast with your host, Adrian Starks. Subscribe to the show and connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. Learn more about us by visiting our website at cnbn.ca. Go to connectnowpodcast.com to be inspired by more life-changing content. Let's connect, learn, and grow.